Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm just diving into some Serum sound design. I've actually just come back from Superbooth, so I've been away for a little bit. I've been in Berlin for the last while. Got back yesterday. Normally I think I would do something a little bit more structured with these videos, but I can't do this as a studio vlog because I'm a little bit behind on work that I'm doing on a sound bank for Serum 2 in conjunction with Black Octopus sound. So I've got a bunch of these presets that I need to work on. I think we're going to do a couple of things just from scratch, but like I said, it's going to be very unscripted, this one. We're just going to be in Serum 2, and the sort of theme for a lot of these sounds is kind of Psytrance-y stuff, just to kind of check out what I've got going at the moment. I've got to actually run through these at some point as well, just to kind of see what is missing. But I'll give you just an idea. There's a bunch of bass sounds and stuff in here at the moment. Let's look at some of the sequencer stuff. Right, it's a little bit more interesting. We've got a couple of sounds like this. I'll just flick through a few more. Yeah, so been doing a couple of that, because you can see like way more psychedelic kind of flavors here. Lots of these kind of sequence patches that I've done already. And of course, some of the stuff needs to kind of be tidied up and just like level matched and stuff as well, gain stage properly. That one is obviously completely clipping up. I haven't done a whole lot of these kind of lead and pluck sounds, so that might be something that we need to do. Also haven't done a ton of pads either, so... And there's a bunch of these that kind of just started and not finished, and some that are missing parts from the beta. There we go. Okay, so let's... I've got quite a lot to do still. I'm aiming for around 100 presets here, so let's kind of just start, and we'll start from scratch. Not really working with any templates or anything like that. I want to kind of do a few kind of sort of like 303-ish kind of vibes, like a little bit more analog sounding, not too much wavetable stuff. Let's maybe... So the clip stuff is actually really useful with this, because it just kind of... I don't have to play it, you know, I can kind of put an idea in here and then kind of build the sound around that idea. And then obviously if you are using the preset later on, you can kind of turn it on or off as well. But let's just have it kind of record something. And we'll kind of just step record this. She doesn't do... I'll just kind of do this manually, yeah. And we'll kind of maybe just do that. So one thing that I like to do with these clips is, if you come here to this keyboard span, we can turn this on, and we'll have that play mono. And now it'll, because I've done this in C, it'll track the keyboard, and this will kind of be the root note. We play another one. Yeah, so I kind of like that. Quite a few of my patches have got this in it, just so you get an idea of what the sound is going to be like with the sequence playing, and then obviously you can just turn that off at any given time. Just turn off the clip, and then you'll have the sound again. But let's play around with the sound now. I want to kind of get something a little bit sort of analog-y, acidic kind of vibe on this one. And this patch, I think I'm probably going to keep it quite simple too, but with some nice sort of organic movement going on. Also, when I'm doing a patch for a commercial bank that's going to be sold like this, I don't always do this with my own stuff, but the macros are kind of often a requirement as well. So I like to think about that. You know, some people just kind of just grab random stuff. I'll sometimes relegate some of these to the reverb and delays, but I like this to actually kind of have some sort of meaning as well if it's going to be there. I think for starters we'll probably have that as a filter control there. And another useful thing for these is to actually turn modulation on and off, or kind of mix modulation in. So let's see if we start playing around with okay, so we can for one have this one change the sort of timing. Let's actually have that one come up. Right, and now, as I was saying, we can change the amount of modulation using some of these macros too. Let's actually just set this one to filter. This one will be, we'll just call this timing. And if we come over to the mod matrix now, you can actually go and just drag this one onto the auxiliary source for the filter frequency envelope modulation that we have. So the envelope is modulating the filter frequency. We can bring that in by using the modulation source there. So as you can see now, there's no envelope at all. So now, rather, when you're using the macros, rather than having to come over to this envelope or go to the filter and adjust the envelope amount here on the modulation settings, we can actually just mix in how much we want in the macros here, which makes more sense. I want this one just to kind of have a bass value a little bit higher. Right, so, and also because this is a more analog style patch, I might change up the waveform here. Now also, one of the things that I find with Serum 2 as well is, because there's new stuff here, you tend to want to kind of use all of it, and that's not always the best idea. Sometimes you want to kind of just hold back on things. Simple stuff sometimes works too. Check out some of the waveforms here. Okay, so this one might give us some interesting... that one's currently stepping through things. There should be something that we can use that's a little bit more of a continuous fade between the different waveforms. Let's just turn this off. Okay. Yeah. Let's go switch square. I don't really know how that's a sort of square, but anyways. Okay, once again, that one's kind of stepping through. So we can rectify that. We could play around with this. What we can do here is select your waveforms, and I believe it was just the morph. We could crossfade between them, or you could do spectral as well. Let's just go with crossfade and see what happens. Okay, that might be interesting to... I'm not sold on that actual waveform though, but anyways, let's just take a look at a few more there. Serum 2, and let's just go through some of these. So just link that one to the wavetail position as well. I want to just grab that one because I might do something with it just now. Really isn't much in the way of kind of analog waveforms here that are smooth. I might have to make some. Actually, that's kind of what I want. That'll be fine. So I want just so you can have an option between the sort of square and saw. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. Let's add a little bit of legato to this. We're also going to make this patch mono. I'll just turn that on to always. Okay, I'm also going to maybe have the option to add a little bit of FM to this too. And I wanted that to come from B. Just want to try this out because these had some interesting things happening with this. We can actually leave the level of that down. And let's bring this octave one down. It's gonna be too much. Let's just go up to analog here. We'll go the basic shapes and grab a triangle wave here rather. I'll use a little bit of cool. I like what's happening there. I'll play around with the filters here too. May just try one of these alternative filters here. Yeah, I way prefer that one. Cool. There's some interesting stuff to play around with as a user on the other end now. This one we'll just call resonance. And we're going to want to put some effects in here too. Particularly delay for this one. So with this one, I always like using the ping pong and then kind of offsetting one of these two dots. We'll use the 8th notes for that and go with this. Let's try out some of the convolve IRs. Just have to be quite careful with this one because it can get very loud very quickly. Just a little bit of flavor to that. You can also sometimes dial in a little bit of this dimension one as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of space. Rather than a bunch of reverbs, much tighter. We will bring in a little bit of a effects mix on this one, yeah, I think. Yeah, cool. We'll use some sync there. I'm kind of going for this kind of old school flavors with this, not too much fancy wavetable stuff here at all. Kind of more analog feel, like I said. Old school kind of Goa sounds almost. And let's also just, because we're doing something a little bit more kind of analog here, we'll go to the global settings here and kind of just detune these slightly. Each voice is going to be slightly different here. Let's maybe, okay, let's just do this. Just so it's a little bit more live. Cool, so there you go, pretty much, okay, that's going to be our sync. Pretty much done there. Again, quite a simple one this, but I think pretty effective. Kind of sounds a bit like, I think it's, I forget the name of the track. It's one of the Prodigy tracks from Jilted Generation, Highway or Speed something, I can't remember. But yeah, it's got that same kind of feel. Right, so I'm just going to put in my credentials here, and we will save this one. I can't spell my own name. There we go. LD. So I'm kind of used to kind of name these with SQ or R, but I'm kind of adding sequences to most things, so I kind of don't. Serum should actually auto tag stuff that has a sequencer turn on it anyway. So if it's a sequencer patch that's playing a lead sound, you're kind of better off using LD at the beginning to kind of categorize it correctly. We'll do, call it something, and there we go. Cool. That sounds pretty good. Let's move on to the next one. We'll do something else. Okay. Again, keeping with kind of more analog sounds, but one thing that Psytrance stuff, especially the older kind of sounds, and I'm trying to kind of, get away from everything that's in the sort of top 100 at the moment, all the same old stuff. I'm kind of do something a little bit more interesting here, or kind of go back to these old school Psy sounds. I'll just experiment here with, because we've got two filters now. So let's just see what happens if we run. And this, when I'm doing sound design like this, I have ideas like I have now, and they don't always work out. So this may be a complete waste of time. We'll see how it goes, and if it doesn't, we'll just move on to the next one again. So let's play around with the S2 filters again. I want to come down to. I could have sworn there was, okay, there's a band pass there. Let's multi-mode this, I think. There we go. Okay, so we've got the mix one's going to change the filter type. Let's set these both to that multi-mode filter. This one's going to be kind of, I think it's going to end up like more of a kind of effect kind of preset. This, I want this one to re-trigger. I want this to be locked to timing as well. So this is BPM, that's fine. And I suppose it doesn't really matter if it's for 4. Okay, so we want that one to start at high pass. That might be something interesting there. Let's just do what I was thinking first. Drive. Let's come back to our first one. So we've got a second filter here. This one we're going to go in reverse. So we're going to have these two filters kind of intersect with each other. Although what we could also do is have this one run an octave down, and we'll bring in B on the low pass. what if we kind of had these? Okay, so now I used to always just automate the levels for something like this. Might actually be a good idea to still do it the way that I used to. Yeah, let's maybe do legato for this. We'll go with portamento, and we're going to stick this to mono again because it's really going to be kind of like a. Let's bring our volumes down a little bit here. Yeah, so let's bring the volume down to 0. We're going to use a macro. Let's go 3 first. I'll assign the other ones for later. We use a macro to bring it back up to. Well, we'll do this in reverse actually. So we'll use a macro to kind of bring this back down. Okay, so we'll start at -7. We're bringing this all the way down to 0. So no level. And we're going to do the same with this one. Start at 7 again, or -7, I should say. And we'll use a macro again to bring this one down to. Okay, so now that macro is going to be at. They're going to be silent basically when that's up. What we can do then is let's go and. Might have a. It's not really what I'm looking for. Let's try an experiment here quickly. And I want this to modulate the level. Okay, so the idea here is that we can use the same gate amount macro that we have. You see as I bring this down now, because we bring the volume back up, it's going to be too loud. What I need to be doing here is to actually use the same macro to mix in the amount of modulation coming into those, to cause those gates. This A level and B level coming from LFO2. We actually want these to go a little bit louder, probably. Since mine is 67%, it's probably going to be about the same that we're going to do on this side. But we're going to use the same one as an aux source on each one of these. So as this comes up, it's going to bring the volume of those oscillators down, but it's also going to start modulating more with the LFO here. So let's check that out. You're going to see the operation now. So that's working fine. Cool. That's working nicely. Let's try an experiment with this. I want to see what happens if we use some kind of randomization on this one. I'm going to try this with a note. No, that won't work because that gate isn't from a note trigger that. So we'd have to use a sample and hold for this. Let's go to this one. We'll turn this one into a sample and hold. And let's try trigger every 8. Let's see what happens. I'm just trying to get some sort of randomized ratcheting going on here. We'll go both ways. Can again do that and call this ratchet chance. Let's call it ratchet probability. I might stick these onto free run mode as well, I think. This should be synced to the host, both of those. Oh, they'd have to all be... There we go, that might fix it if they're doing... Yeah, so if they if one of them is not in free run, it's re-triggering, then you stand the chance of them kind of drifting out of sync slightly there. Let's play around with some effects on these along. Play around a little bit with this. Let's stick this one to sample and hold as well. But we can create sort of a smooth random with this if we turn up the smoothing here. Okay, we'll give you some control over not this one. It's remove modulators from that one. We want to do alpha 3. Give a little bit of control over the speed of this. Call that movement. And maybe just put a clip on here too. Once again, we can do KB Spanier, mono. It's easier now to kind of just get everything in time as well. Get a bit of an LFO going on the panning too. %, and then we could do the inverse on filter 1. Should be negative 40%. And I also think that these should just come down an octave, that one and this one too. Let's just try something here. And I want to see if it'll let me cross modulate between both of these. Yeah, we can. I'm not sure how useful that second one's going to be. It does work, but I think it's actually just going to be better if we just have the one on there. And we'll set this to FM here. I think this might be a little bit more interesting as well if we do this FM not consistent. What we'll add here rather is we'll try that notes on one. Got a little bit of variation there. I also want to just adjust the sort of center point of some of these filters slightly, because that one, when it goes too high, you kind of lose too much energy. So we're going to do that with the matrix. Just go and check this one. Yeah, just bring these in slightly. In actual fact, what we can do as well is let's add an aux source for macro 1 to both of these. So we can now basically have control over both of the filter sweeps and how far they go. Sweep MT. That's basically both filters open. And then we could change the rate of this. Okay, and then back to the effects. I want to kind of just really kind of bring out everything that's being done with this distortion here. I'm gonna grab a compressor. Let's just try this in multi-band mode here. I really want to bring those mids out too. And maybe some EQ as well. And I might actually just put let's put a master filter on this too, just so we can kind of, an additional one. I kind of like where that's going. This one also needs a little bit of reverb on it, so we'll kind of add our delay down at the bottom. We'll add a little bit of reverb here too. We go to the whole maybe. And let's have this come in with one of the macros as well. Just call this one FX. Yeah, cool. You can take that gate out completely now. Cool, there we go. Lots of nice movement happening in that. And in terms of the actual like waveforms, pretty simple again, just basic wave shapes here. We haven't really gotten into any of the fancy stuff in the oscillator section. Just lots of cool modulation. Cool. I'm going to save this one as well, and we'll move on and do something else. And let's get my credentials in here again. Yeah, okay, let's move on. Let's save that one just in case again. All right, to do something different now, we've got two sort of lead sounds that we've done. Let's maybe try something along the lines of a pad sound as well. And along the same lines as that one, I'm going to kind of just, let's go with a, you know, I haven't even really been through many of these. Okay, let's play around with that. Try to not do too much with the unison because it can go completely too much CPU with that. In this case, I think we might need something. A bit of unison. I'm actually going to use a high pass filter here. Not the multi, we just want a regular high pass filter. Let's see where this goes. That's pretty cool. I want to layer that up with just regular saws. I think I might get... Don't really need the unison for those. Okay. Let's just get our gain under control again. This is a bit of a problem when you're doing polyphonic stuff. You can just stick a compressor there. I'll just have this limit rather and set that to 0. Can rather, instead of using so much of that unison as well, you can do that with the hyper. You can kind of sort of fake unison with this. And we're going to do the similar thing again, except this time I want the filters to run in serial. So I actually want filter 2. If we come over to the mix page here, we can run this one directly into filter 2 instead. So we still have A and B oscillator running into filter 1. But we now have filter 2 as our sort of secondary filter, and we can kind of do a different... Some interesting movement happening there with that. Let's just set this to... Okay, come back to the effects quickly. I want to just add in a delay on this too. I'll give you the option to pump the delay quite high up. I also want to give the option to dial in the reverb separately on this one, just so you can get the reverb all the way up to max. Just might give you a nice some ambience. Let's actually add in a sub as well with this one. Actually, might as well do it with this sub. Okay, give it a little control over the speed there. I'm also going to use LFO 2 to maybe just do fine tuning on this one. Okay, so let's also, for this one, we'll give control over adding this in. Let's go to the effects here. We're going to add in a utility. In actual fact, the utility does not give us a... I suppose we could try and modulate that. See if that works. Yeah, with sounds like this, when you're going to do a gate like this, I should just mention, when it's in retrig mode, like it's essentially a polyphonic LFO. So each note, if you're a couple of milliseconds off, you start getting things get a little bit messy. You can switch it onto mono, which would have it retrigger, but then, in actual fact, yeah, that works better. But you don't really need that to retrigger. You can rather have that sync to the host instead, yeah. And we can have that come in with a macro as well. So we're just going to have that stutter effect available if you want to automate it. And we'll go utils level, the aux source there. Right, and once again, this is a twofold process. Let's go to stutter. Because if we do that, now we've got no volume because we've turned down the volume on the effect. So we need to actually apply the same macro to the effect now to bring this back up again. However, we need to do that in reverse. So we're going to go this way. Bring this up to 0 dB again. Yeah, there we go. That's sounding pretty cool. Let's go back to the oscillators again. Yeah. We'll give you control of the master filter, yeah, with this. Sounding pretty nice. Just go to out delay and just have that go. Oh, we've got that on ping pong as well. Let's just set that to. Awesome. Another one down. Once again, let's just save this one. Cool. Might try one last one, yeah, and then we'll call it quits for a bit. Let's see. Let's do like a classic sort of Psytrance sound, and because we can with the clips. Do some interesting rhythmic stuff. Let's maybe set this to 32 actually. Let's again KB span mono. I'm gonna turn up my BPM there. Copy these over. That over as well. Got a bit of an interesting movement now with that, and let's start playing around with the. What I want to do with this is kind of do kind of squawky, kind of squelch patch with this. We're going to kind of make this quite random. Use an envelope to adjust the semitones, I think, on this one. Actually, maybe not the semitones. Let's do the coarse pitch. Let's remove this one quickly. pedals give me problems. There we go. Cool. So we can, in this aux slot here, use something like the note on, and we'll use the note on one random. So every note is going to give you a random value here. Cool. This one as well, note on random. Let's just also get this one to give us a little bit of a tail. I want this one to also start. Okay, so I actually want to limit this as well. This note on random, I want that to limit. I don't ever want it to be at a point where it's at 0, basically. I always want there to be some modulation, but I want that to be randomized from about sort of 10% up to, or 25% up to the maximum amount. So to do that with this, aux source, you want to just come over to the curve here, and basically just insert a point here. So this is going to be the lowest value, which is now obviously sort of a quarter of the way up. So you can see, even with the random amounts, it's never going to drop down to the 0 there, so you're never going to have that without any pitch modulation happening. Okay, let's play around with the filters. We'll go with the... Okay, so again with this, we kind of do the same. So it's slightly percussive now, but we're going to add an additional... I'm going to add 2 layers of randomness to this one. Let's go to the matrix. We'll do the same with note random 1 with this one. So note random there. Let's also make sure... Actually, this one doesn't really matter so much if it goes down to 0. And then we're also going to add in another note random on this one, and we'll do note random 2 on this. So we've got a different random amount here. We're going to come up to filter 1 frequency on this. Okay, this needs some finessing still. Let's grab all of these and I was hoping that we could use some sort of probability on this. Ah, there, I suppose we can, yeah. So we've got a chance There we go. Let's try something with this as well. Let's go with a alpha sample and hold on this. Set that to free running. See, this is one thing that Serum's weird with. So yeah, you can't have free running LFOs when a voice is not being used, much like most other synths. You'll see it actually kind of kills it completely. It's kind of a weird behavior for me. Kind of a little bit random this. We'll see if we can kind of rescue this one still. There's some ideas here, but yeah, I'm gonna switch it from clip because I'm just kind of experimenting now. I'll save that as it is, but I think that's one that didn't work too well. We'll call this crap squelch. Sometimes it's better to just kind of go back to the drawing board and try again. I mean, yeah, it started off with the right idea, but I think we kind of, it's not kind of working the way that I wanted to. I'll try another one like that later on. Since that one didn't work out too well, let's do one last one. Try and do something that's more like a sort of mid-bass kind of thing. Let's play around with some of the other tables here again and try and see what we can come up with. Actually, let's try something completely different here. Okay. Let's also, this time around, do another, on this one, use another aux source here, but this time around, let's use the key tracking, actually. Yeah, I believe it's this, yeah. Note number. I should say that, so that should go up here. And once again, you can use the curve. So only the higher ones are going to get the... Okay, we can do the same thing here with the... this one, yeah. So higher notes should be longer notes. If you want to get octaves going up with this one, you can do this shift by 12. And we'll do that once. Cool thing with this is you can actually do shift by different amounts. You get some interesting ideas with that. Could lock that into scale too. So if we go to you can shift by weird amounts with this too, and then a second arp here that's just straight up. Idea here. Let's just play around with these partial combos. Let's go to the digital 6 partial combos. Let me just try this idea of having two of the same. Set that one to max. Set this mod source to note, and we'll use a random note on this one. We're going to use a random value on this one too. And each time the note's playing, we're going to get a random value on these. Actually, this one could be down there. Doesn't really matter. Note random, wavetable positions. Okay, two of the same wavetable. Different waves playing each time because we're using a random amount on the wavetable positions. And what we can do now is to get a really interesting effect, to pan them left and right. Take a listen to this now. Let's just add a macro so we can tweak both of these at the same time. And then we can play around with the different warps. Kind of unusual, the stuff that we got going on there now. I'm always up for trying something new rather than just trying to replicate the same old stuff everybody always does. Set up this one as an filter envelope amount. We'll just limit the amount of filter frequency being modulated there. And once again, I don't want that to be all the way down, so we can, you'll see the effect here now. If this is at 0, what should happen is Wait, have I got this on the right channel? Oh, so I believe actually, so 0 is going to close it off completely. If I have that set to 1 there, you'll see it's closing off completely at 1 because of that. Okay. We bring up this one. Now you can see effectively setting the minimum. That obviously starts there now. Okay, let's have these two come in. We haven't even got to the effects yet. Let's take a look at these. Might do something crazy with a pitch shifter actually on this one. Hyper dimension here. Add a little bit of compression on this, not the distortion, sorry. And we're going to need a delay for sure. Okay. Okay, just to kind of make this a little bit more, I want this one to be louder. Okay, and then, okay, that's a filter envelope. I think we want a macro 6. Where's this going to? Right, there we go. Let's bring those two in. So this one, Well, macro 6 to also bring down the volume of this one slightly when it's up, just to better balance things out. Crystals. Okay, last thing I want to just play around with. This might be a good candidate for something weird with the frequency shifter here. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's play around with the macros that we've got and just see what this is working as. Let's see. Okay, let's also just add a bit more life to this as well before we finish up with that. Let's go to the global here, and I actually want to put a bit of panning randomization on this. It's kind of on top of the panning that we've already got. And let's also just double check our effects. We can probably just adjust this slightly. Okay, let's just play around with these, see what we have. Filters. I really like some of the tones you're getting with that. a scale there as well, that's why. Yeah, some interesting stuff that you can get with this. Cool, I'll leave it at that. Just get a sort of finalized patch there. Something interesting, let's go. Okay, that's done. Yeah, I'm going to call it quits there. We've done quite a bit now. And I'm going to be continuing working on this. So perhaps we'll do one more session. I might make one or two of these available for Patreon subscribers, but as I said, this is a commercial bank I'm working on with Black Octopus Music, Black Octopus Sounds. So I can't stick the whole bunch of these, but I do have some Hive 2 presets that have been sitting around for ages, which I do need to just tweak, and I will be making those available soon on the Patreon page. You can go check that out. Join the Patreon. You can grab a whole bunch of sounds. There's tons up there at the moment already, but I will have some new stuff out soon. That would be these. I just want to kind of go through some of them and tweak them a little bit. Just give you an idea of what's coming soon. And let's check there. So just make this a bit bigger for us. I believe it's a bunch of these. These have been lying around on an old hard drive for ages, and I wanted to kind of just fix some of them up. I'm going to make a selection of these available soon, and I will let you guys know when that's up. Some pretty cool pads and things in here. Even some sort of generative stuff that I was playing around with. This one I really like. Gotta love Hive. Cool, I'll make those available soon. Stay tuned for that. Alright, I'll catch you guys soon. Here on the channel. Sorry, this one's a little bit kind of unorganized, but hopefully this kind of stuff is useful to you guys. Check the links in the description below, and yeah, see you soon. Cheers.